Well, I have to edit the current video that I have up there about the color of shoe polish to use for the brick. What I have on there is brown shoe polish by Kiwi and Cordovan shoe polish by Kiwi. The problem is that they don't make Cordovan anymore. After I got the recipe just right, it looked like they stopped manufacturing it, and you actually can't find this anywhere. So that doesn't help as much. So I had to find another way to try to get this brown just a little bit more red. And I think I've got a really nice solution to this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to redden the brown shoe polish up with India ink. This is India ink, and it's magenta. And it's kind of a weird purplish red color, so I think that works out pretty good. You might take a look, because if it looks like really light pinkish, yeah, I might not get it. You might go with slightly more purplish tint. But this one worked out really nice. Once again, whatever you mix up, do a test piece and experiment to make sure it acts the way you want it to act. Okay, the recipe I'm going to mix up is 1 tablespoon of the brown shoe polish and a ½ teaspoon of the magenta. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and mix up and do. I'm going to go ahead and open this. Like I said, I can just kind of pop that off there. I've done it so many times. And I'm just going to pour a tablespoon of this in there. And once again, if you use tablespoon measures and all, get yourself a separate set. Don't use what you have in the kitchen and use for cooking and such like that. Get your own. These things are really cheap, so get your own set for something else. And these have kind of, India ink has got kind of a neat little dropper on the top, which makes it handy. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go with a ½ teaspoon of this magenta color. And you can kind of see what color that is there. If it had a touch more blue to it, you know, I don't know. When I used it and I put it on, I think the color is really nice. Now, you may be tempted to want to add more than a ½ teaspoon to this. I wouldn't add more than a ½ teaspoon because the more liquid you add to the shoe polish, the more you change the gel of the shoe polish. Because this shoe polish is kind of thick, and you want it kind of thick so it will, you know, apply like a stain and be able to dab off and that sort of a thing really nice. Now, when you look at it, you're not going to see a real big difference. You think, well, geez, you know, that didn't make it look a whole lot more red. But it will. It actually will help the red quite a bit once you get it on the surface. Okay, now I'm going to try to give you a close-up of actually putting the red brick onto this. What you're going to need, I would strongly suggest getting yourself a rubber glove of some kind to hold on to this because you are going to get shoe polish on your hand, especially the hand that's holding the piece here. The other thing is you want a brush. I would get probably a ½ inch wide brush, but make sure it's got some nice stiff bristles on it because you're going to have to jam this thing down into the brick. And we're just going to do one wall section at a time and see how it goes. Now I'm just putting this stuff on directly on, so you can kind of see how this goes. And this shoe polish dries, you know, sort of slowly. By the way, I would put your brush in here and I would mix this up really good because you want to get kind of a nice, I don't know if you can see the side of that cup. I'll pull the cup over here a little bit. That's really kind of a nice red here. And I know that your first impression is that, wow, this is going to be too dark. This isn't going to work. But for some reason, this works really well. Okay, here we go. Once again, I strongly suggest do test pieces before you do your real thing. Get yourself some, here's what I've done is I've made little pieces like this. And I've gone and you know, painted them and have done different tests that way. So be sure to do test pieces before you do the real thing. Okay, well here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush this on. And you want to brush it on and be sure that you jam it down into the cracks. It doesn't have to be a heavy coat, but it does have to cover in all the cracks. So I'm going to paint it on there. And let's see. And be sure that you kind of get into the window holes there. And I'm just going to go across. And I'm going to do this whole piece front and back, top and bottom. And we should have enough time to do the whole piece before this stuff starts drying on it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the top, like this. If you look down into the windows, try to get down into the window cracks. And of course you can see why this makes kind of a, you need the glove on your left hand, because this is really kind of messy. Okay, let's see. We'll start on the back side here, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint it on the back side. And that is probably just about it. I'm going fairly liberal with it, and you want to be sure to get all the edges. So now take a look around. It looks like I've kind of gotten everything here. So I've got that side, I've got the end, I've got the other end, the top. What you want to do is, if you have a little more sturdy container, it's better that you can, kind of get your brush scooped off. There's going to be some places that this stuff pools. Like you see right in here, we've got a lot that's pooling in here. You want to kind of soak that up with the brush a little bit in the window holes. And then down in here, any spots that kind of soak it up, just kind of get those extra spots out of there. And this is going to be just a little bit blotchy, but you want it blotchy. And I don't know if you can see, but this is starting to kind of get down into the cracks already. And of course on the back side of the windows here. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take myself a paper towel. Just take a paper towel and get a corner of it. And if you want, you could probably set this down on a table surface. And I'm just going to lightly blot just a couple of spots. Like that. I don't want to wipe it off. I just want to blot a couple of spots. That'll give it kind of a nice uneven sort of a texture to it. Now I'm going to flip it over to the back side, and if there's any really dark spots, you're gonna blot them up. Now this will dry slightly lighter, and that's kind of weird, because paint usually dries darker. But for some reason this stuff will dry slightly lighter than you expect. So go ahead and just blot any excess heavy bits off, and that's it. This wall section is pretty much done. The last step will be to apply a little bit of gray, but I'm going to go ahead and go to the next piece. So just kind of want to gently set this aside. Try not to fingerprint it too bad. And you can take a paper towel and kind of wipe your glove off as you're going. And we'll go ahead and do another piece. I'm just going to do this wall section right here. So I'm going to load the brush up, and I'm just going to start and work on it like this. And this really doesn't take a long time. It's more a matter of being sure you don't miss any spots, because if you miss a spot, then you're going to have to go back and touch it up. And this wall should be pretty strong. I mean, after we did the base coat and sealed everything, that Aleene's Tacky Glue is now sealed in there. So this shoe polish is water-based. But the water base, of the shoe polish won't soak into the blocks and loosen the glue, because we've already got, we've already sealed it with that sort of sandy or pumpkin pie color, earth tone color there. Okay, I got on the windows. Okay, don't forget your ends. It's always easy to kind of forget your ends. So we'll go across the top. We're going to go inside the door frame on both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and get the back end right here, and then we'll start on the other side. And this acts really nice as it's staying. It kind of flows down into the cracks without needing to add like a future floor finish or any kind of product like that. It kind of flows pretty nicely down into the cracks. Okay, I pretty much got this. Once again, I'm going to look around. I got the inside of the window good. I got the inside of the door frames. I got the end of the pieces. At this point, it looks like I need to kind of soak up the excess here. So I'm going to scrape off my brush on the cup. And if you had something lower that you can scrape it off without having to hold the cup in place, would be nicer. But I'm going to go, and I've got some pockets right here and down here, and especially the window. The window seems to kind of want to soak that up, or kind of pool down at the bottom of the window, I should say. And down there, okay, let's lift it up and take a look to see if there's any more spots. Okay, down here, I mean, you can kind of see under the base of the window we had a bit extra there. Okay, I'm gonna blot that up there. And okay, now let's take a look at the other side here. The other side around the window, you can see there's red around the window here. There's spots that need to be kind of picked up. So pick up the excess, scrape it off on the side of the cup, get under the window, and any other places that look like it's kind of pooled up. In other words, places that are pooled up that you can't reach with a paper towel. Because, you know, the paper towel, you're going to blot up some of this excess. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the paper towel and I'm going to just lean it here. And I'm just going to blot just a little bit, not much. Just enough to take some of the heavy spots off. And it gives it kind of a, you know, more of a random color look to it. Okay, let's get the other side. I just want to blot a little bit. You don't want to go crazy with it. Just blot a little. And like I said, this is going to dry just a little bit. This is going to dry just a little bit lighter than you think. So with this one out of the way, I'm going to set it aside and we will go ahead and work on our next piece. Now for this video, I wanted to show you the difference between what kind of undercoating you put on. I've got 4 different kind of tests here that I've done, and on this first one I've spray painted it with Krylon Almond Satin color spray paint. The next one is a Krylon Satin Pebble color. The next one's a Rust-Oleum Camouflage Sand color. And the last one is our Earth Tone Medium color that we've got. Now I'm not sure how much difference you're going to see when I apply the stain, the shoe polish to it. I'm going to try to show you the difference as we get up close here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my stain over here. I'm going to try to get this thing up to the camera here. And I'm just going to go ahead and apply this stain to each of these. And I'm going to put it on, you know, pretty liberally. And I'm not sure that the camera is going to pick up the difference in color between these. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on fairly heavily. And then what you can do is I'm just going to set the brush down. And you can take a paper towel. You could probably leave it like that. But there's a couple places that are a little dark. So what I'm going to do is just going to dab. If it looks like it's too much, I'm just going to dab it up. And I'm just going to leave it like that. So, I mean, that looks pretty good right there. That's what it did for the almond color. Next I'm going to do the same thing for the pebble color. I'm going to bring it up here, and what we're going to do is just kind of see the difference in color between each of these. Most of these go on pretty much about the same. Okay, I'll go ahead and cover that one. I'll set the brush down, and it doesn't look like anything's really super loaded up there. But I will kind of just daub up a little bit of places to give a little bit of variety to the brick color. And you can kind of get the brick to come out close to the same color if you've got a lighter color of base coat down. You can always just pile the shoe polish or stain on there a little bit more. If you've got a darker base color and you want to you don't want the brick to be quite so dark, you can always use a paper towel and dab up a bit more of it. And that's what this color looked like. This is the camouflage sand color. And you can see it goes on a little darker, but if I daub off a bit, kind of lightens it up a bit. And then the last one is the Earth Tone Medium color that we use from the Earth Tone colors. It's kind of a pumpkin pie color, and I'm going to apply that. Put it on. And like I said, I'm not sure how good the camera is going to pick up the difference in the color here as we're doing this. But that's what this one applies and looks like there. And then once again, you can kind of dab off. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. I kind of like the uneven look of it. You know, you can dab off a little bit. But that's pretty much what the last one is right there.